Oh, thank you very much. Oh my.
That was back in his drinking days.
I'll tell you one story. On the 25th, and I know the date, on the 24th of January 1996, we were rehearsing a production of King Lear, in which I was playing Kent, and I finished rehearsal, went home at midnight. My wife gave birth at 5 o'clock in the morning at home. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I went off to do an episode of Sky Surfer Strike Force. At noon, I was in studio to do an episode of Beast Wars. And then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was back at the theater for the opening night of King Lear. My wife talked to a friend who was in the house the next day. Who was in the house that night the next day, and she said, well, how did the show go? Because, of course, my wife didn't attend the opening night. And her friend said, well, it's funny, you know, opening night, everybody seemed really nervous, except Richard. He just seemed so cooled out. And I thought, well, of course, because I hadn't slept in 2 days. Now, it's not directly a Beast Wars episode that I'm thinking of, but it was, yeah, that's the sort of thing that happens in our world.
Can you do your Beast Wars characters when you do the drive-through McDonald's? Yeah!
No wonder me, I'm utterly uninspired. Because I need to go to McDonald's.
I'd like a chicken Caesar salad, please.
Strawberry shake, please.
I'll take a number 6. Suicide. All right, you stand aside. I apologize for my compadre. I'm going to have a number. All right. You got anything that's a little less human?
One more crack like that, and I really take you down the old-fashioned way, brutally!
Who am I missing?
That's all.
Did I? That was incredibly unfunny. I'm sorry.
For everyone but Scott. Who would you say your character's main nemesis was in the series?
Wow. The war itself for Tigatron. The war itself.
Some of the same, except Molten's Black Arachne. That was really fun, that scene with Black Arachne. Okay. I liked her.
I'd say
Venus is great. She's just
Venus is
fantastic.
wonderful. I'd say Megatron, probably, for Rhinox. That was his main focus, trying to end that threat. And Scott doesn't have any. Scott's main enemy in the series was himself. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, I got a question for Richard. What's your opinion in Beast G when Rhinox became evil?
Well, I think I've answered that earlier. It's always fun to be able to take what you're doing and turn it completely upside down. And as I say, I've played a lot of villains, so it was really a lot of fun to take this character who had become this strong, gentle giant and turn him into something else. So that's always a challenge, and it's always a thing.
That's not one of the only really cool moments of Beast G that Rhinox became a villain.
Yep, I hear what you're saying. Yes, dear.
I'm sorry, I do have another one. Actually, it is for Scott. Sorry. And in Boston 2005, there came a question of what were the most embarrassing moments in the recording studio. And yes, I do remember the answer. Yes, I did have to go over.
Fine.
I'd like to share
Here you go.
All the embarrassment. Wolverine, the most badass Canadian to ever grace the planet. It's a closed environment in the studio. It's a silly, you know, we are all human beings. Born into these bodies that God has given us. Sometimes they do things. I was doing some huge epic, like, you know, I'm lifting 7 trees above my head and hurling them at Sabretooth. And, you know, you think it's freaking Wolverine, pal. So it's this. If it had been any kind of like a man fart, it would have been fun. Like, play that back. Play that back. There was something at the end of that. Yeah. I heard about that one for a while.
Okay, what would all of you, that sounds good, say, all your characters, what was your favorite catchphrase for each of them?
Oh, for both not cold.
Okay.
All slag.
It wasn't a catchphrase, but I remember so many times addressing, oh, Tigatron.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. What was it? Someone told me to say, I have to kill you because God told me to.
Yes, you're in the hat.
Oh, hi there.
This is for everybody. I was wondering if any of you have had a particularly strange family.
I like to think that all the doll family cancers are a little bit.
I'll tell you, I've been knocked out here by how many people have created things and brought things for us. The artwork that people have presented us with, and DVDs that people have created around the series and stuff. I've been flabbergasted. And of course, this is a positive thing, not a negative thing. But yeah, I've just been knocked out by the generosity you show me something to.
Put that there.
Have any of you been asked to, or do you plan to try to audition for voices for the live-action movie?
I don't think our agents would even bother trying to make the phone call. That's a different kettle of fish there, and I don't think that our names have even been bandied about.
I would love to do it.
Oh, sure.
It's work.
I just got to say, I found the voice acting in Beast Wars to be